episode of Nerdsplain It, your favorite comic book podcast, a comic book podcast for every level of nerd. Thanks to all of our longtime listeners, and hopefully we've got some new ones in the house today. Today we are going to do part one of a two-part episode on the Scarlet Speedster, the Crimson Comet, the Flash. I am always joined by Wookie on my right.
Yo.
The Velveeta Nightmare, Dave.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Jess.
Hey, guys.
And my long distance lover, Greg.
What up? Hey, baby.
I just love him so much.
And Snow.
So yeah, today we are going to discuss the Flash, but that's a little vague. Jess, who's the Flash?
Well, which one?
When?
When? Who?
So
what?
many
When?
questions.
Where? What?
How is the Flash?
I'll do you one better.
I'll do you one better.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. I think Golden Age. Who was the Flash for the Golden Age of comics, which would have been what, 40s and 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s?
Yeah. His name's Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick.
Jason Peter Garrick.
Oh, that's what the J stands for.
Uh-huh.
Well, they don't put him in the comics as like J. Garrick. It's always J.
Right. I just never knew what J was short for.
Right.
Yeah. His first appearance was in Flash Comics #1 in 1940.
God, everybody was named Jason back then. I hate trend names.
He was a college student and working in a lab.
Okay.
And I guess from some of the work he was doing, he inhaled hard water vapors, which I guess retcons.
Wait.
Yeah, we've talked about
No, I know
this.
we've talked about it. I'm just trying to wrap our head around because I'm sure there are people who are going to be listening to this that going, wait, homeboy inhaled some steam and became real fast?
No. Hard water. You have to remember, it was the 1940s. Zest bar soap hadn't been made yet. So no one was fully clean because they weren't Zest fully clean.
All right, so college Jason, he inhales hard water.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess when the comic first came out, that was a good enough reason to,
Science was in its infancy in America.
he got superhuman speed and super fast reflexes, but I mean, later on it was retconned that activated a dormant metagene.
I say, House Vapes, he's slow as fuck.
Still faster
At
than me.
least I'm not attached to a couch.
Yeah, you've got a bad knee, though.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel uncomfortable.
Oh no, Mom and Dad are fighting again.
Right. This is just teasing. We're just teasing round 2 for the fight of the century. Part 2. The rumble in the bungle.
So oh my
Not
God.
bunghole.
I had bungle,
what I
yeah.
heard, yeah.
But for some reason, Electric Boogaloo started playing in my head.
Oh.
I don't know why. Go ahead.
So he got his first solo comic book series, All Flash, in 1941.
Wait, what else was in Flash comics back then?
Hawkman.
Oh.
Okay.
I didn't
I mean,
know that.
Yeah, I didn't
Gotcha.
do all that research. I had a job to do, and I was very hyper-focused on that job.
See, I don't do work when I'm at work.
So I guess after World War II, superheroes declined in popularity, and that caused a lot of the Flash titles to be canceled.
Oh.
Well,
So
they were attributed at that. That would have been that point that we've talked about here and there, where they were being attributed to, juvenile delinquency. And
Yes.
so there would have been a lot of
can't wait to
burnings
do
and
that
stuff
episode.
like that. So
So All Flash was canceled in 1948 after 32 issues. Flash Comics was canceled in 1949 after 104 issues. And All Star Comics was canceled in 1951 after 57 issues. And that marked Garrick's last Golden Age appearance. And he would not reappear for another 10 years. And he never got another solo series.
Well, that's just sad. Now, I mean, he did show up in other series because he helped founded it on what I think it would ended up becoming Earth 3. Earth 2. Okay, because I know that we'll talk about their multiverse some other day, but he was a founding member of the Justice Society of America, right?
Yeah,
okay.
which appeared in the All-Star comics that she mentioned.
The All-Flash ones?
No, All-Star comics.
Oh, All-Star comics. Oh, okay.
It was All-Star comics featuring the Justice Society of America.
Oh.
And that would have been back when it was like Our Man and the original Sandman.
Wildcat.
Yeah.
Wildcat.
I mean, Green Lantern was still there.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what was that Green Lantern's name?
Scott.
Alan Scott.
Alan Scott.
Yeah.
With the weakness to wood.
Yes. Which I do love that there is an explanation, but we'll get into that another day.
Jerry's trying so hard not to laugh at the fact that we said weakness to wood. Like, his inner 12-year-old is screaming out
Just
to
losing
crack up at an erection joke.
I'm good.
Everyone...
Your inner child is constantly wanting to scream at erections.
Oh, so what something I've mused over it many times, and I know in like the Flash TV show they made a pretty cool reference to it actually before Jay Garrick actually showed up in the Flash TV show. But when like his metal helmet came flying through the Speed Force, what is the history of Jay's metal helmet with the wings on it?
Well, it was a pie dish, and then the Frisbee Company.
So that hat belonged to his father Joseph. From World War I. So that's where he got that, and that's, turned into a weapon, shield, things like that.
Yeah, because I think, what was it in... I know the most recent thing, I can remember him using it as a weapon, it was in Flash Rebirth when he punched it and destabilized Reverse Flash's negative speed force.
Yeah. It also makes it a lovely cornucopia for Thanksgiving.
Or a candy dish on Halloween.
That's right, yeah.
Yes. All of those things.
He sits out on his front porch. He stuffs straw into his sleeve so he looks like a scarecrow. And he just boom.
But he does it really fast.
He gets so excited though he does it too fast. The kids don't know anything happened.
With Jay Garrick and him being the Flash, him being that golden age of comics superhero, definitely not a more modern character. And so we've gotten more exposure to Barry Allen and Wally West's villains and their rogues gallery, which we are going to get into in part 2 of our Flash episode. But I don't know. I know of one Jay Garrick villain, and it was, I think, the Rival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But who were some? You can tell me what the Rival meant. But who were some of other Jay Garrick villains?
Are you sure you're ready for this?
Oh, hit me!
All right.
What you got?
So, Winky, Blinky, and Naughty.
Yep.
Winky, Blink. Did he square off against Disney at some point? Is that where?
No, he squared off against the nicknames I have for my genitals.
It's a trio.
Guess which one's Blinky?
Oh, I shouldn't have slapped my leg. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so Winky, Blinky, and Naughty.
Naughty.
Got it.
Noddy.
Double D. Got it.
Yeah, they're a trio of quote-unquote tramps, known as the Three Dimwits.
They gypsies,
I'm in a room
and
with
thieves?
them. What?
Oh, I see what she did there.
I did.
What'd she say?
She said, I'm in the room with 3 of them right now.
But we'll see how you feel about that when I start getting into the physics of it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel like an absolute moron, so I'm ready for that one. They tried a lot of different jobs. I mean, I didn't look too far into it, but they were just never successful.
Like bank robbery jobs and stuff?
I guess. I'm assuming.
Oh.
And then there was the Faultless
Did you just assume
Four.
their profession?
The Faultless Four.
The Faultless Four.
So he has a trio of villains and then a faultless foursome of villains.
Taking it. Who were the?
When you're that fast,
eventually
you
he
can
had
take
a key party of villains.
Yeah, who were the Faultless Four that he had to square up
A
against?
group of blackmailers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Inky, Blinky, Stinky, and Clyde. They're 4 ghosts.
I will say, like, these villains don't go very deep.
Right, they're not what we get today in
I mean,
Yeah.
Winky and Blinky
then-
don't go deep.
Not as deep as Naughty does.
I'm so glad that's spelled Noddy and not Knotty.
Right.
Otherwise, the nickname of my genitals would just make it sound terrible.
So you brought up rival.
Right, because I think visually he looks like Jay Garrick, but he's he's just like a black silhouette with a red lightning bolt on his chest and red glaring eyes.
Do you know how he came about?
I don't.
He was a professor and found the last container of the heavy water vapors.
Oh.
And he used them and gained super speed. And then he took away Jay's speed after capturing him. And
now, was he the professor? Because Jay used to have a sidekick called the Professor.
Did he now? That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, it was the mentor he was working with in college.
And then he also had Tweaky and Dr. Theopolis, I think.
I can't tell if that's a joke or...
It's a Buck Rogers joke.
Okay, yeah. Because, he had a mentor named the Professor that was helping him run the experiment when he got flashed. Nope, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid as many of those jokes as possible.
Basically, if you hear a sound of silence there, where a flashing joke could be inserted, listeners, just throw it in there for yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because this would be a 2.5 hour episode if we threw them all in.
I'm running out of flash jokes though, so
yeah, they're more. Damn it, there's no. So I can't really think of a lot of... Did you come up with something for the rival?
He was just a professor at the university.
Oh, okay. Just another professor? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So...
And there was actually a name to that hard water formula.
What was it?
Velocity 9.
Oh, that's damn right. It. I remember that.
Because that comes up in the TV show.
Yeah, they did bring that up to help people get faster. Or help deal with... Yeah, they brought it up it was in season 2.
And it was supposed to be like a healing cure type stuff,
right? Because weird. Barry had lost his speed or something like that when dealing with Zoom had sapped it from him.
Yeah,
and Zoom was trying to take the speed of every other speedster on the.
And during that episode, there was Velocity 7 they tried, and then 8.
Yeah, because Jay was very much against him doing it.
Yeah,
it was better than working on preparations A through G and settling on preparation H.
So when it comes to...
So, we got it!
We got it!
A hemorrhoid cream joke is what does it. An inflamed O-ring and the cream that soothes it is what brings Jess to the Tuscan
healing anal salves.
Accident. I just forgot to breathe before laughing. We're all good.
Inflamed anus and the creams that soothe them. Today on Sally Jesse.
So what were you saying? Sorry.
Well, okay, so we talked about how, the last Jay Garrick appearance was in All-Star Comics in 1951. In 1956, DC decided to reinvent Flash. They gave him a new name, costume, background, which was Barry Allen. And he was completely unrelated. He was completely unrelated to Jay Garrick. And in fact, Garrick had never actually existed as far as the series was concerned.
Wait, what?
Well, yeah.
Barry's first appearance, he was reading the Flash comic.
Yeah, which is a cool little meta moment they have. Mm-hmm.
So just kind of like, oh, yeah, this was totally a fictional character.
But obviously, they do crossover. What was the name of the story where Barry finally meets Jay Garrick for the first time?
Flash of Two Worlds.
Flash of Two Worlds. Oh, that's the one. That's the famous one with the cover of the wall in between them, and they're both running.
And they're running to save us.
Which they also have bookmarks of that are really neat, but very expensive. Otherwise, I'd own them.
Those are beautiful
bookmarks.
Yeah.
No,
bookends.
Oh, okay. I was like, how is a bookmark expensive, sir?
Oh, if you don't mind fucking up your binding. Yeah, anything's a bookmark. I could take this cat and make it into a bookmark.
Aww.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to kill him.
Yeah, not in a violent way.
I'm just going to put him on an open book.
You've seen what this cat does to paper. You'd be missing out on more than just your reading spot.
That's true.
So, what was going on that got them to? I'm assuming Barry to cross.
Yeah,
universes.
Barry crosses universes. So when they did this relaunch of Flash, and they also relaunched Green Lantern around the same time and got rid of Alan Scott, they're the only characters that during this relaunch, like Superman was the same, Batman was the same, Wonder Woman was more or less the same. However, Flash and Green Lantern were different people, and they never really explained it up until the Flash of Two Worlds. So pretty much Barry Allen's put on a charity event for kids, as superheroes do when I guess they're bored. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to make himself disappear or something like that. So he vibrates at the right frequency to go out of his world into another world.
As you do.
Yeah, as one does. And he arrives at what is now called Earth 2.
Okay.
And he's looking around. He's like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. And he figures out he's in the world that he grew up reading comics about with Jay Garrick as the Flash. And so first thing he does is he tracks down Jay Garrick, who is now retired, older guy. And, you know, Barry busts in. He goes, "You're Jay Garrick. You're his girlfriend that I forget his name, her name." They weren't that liberal back then.
It wasn't because he was bored
What
the event. The magician didn't show up.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, the magician. I was like, that didn't.
I wasn't
sound
saying
right.
like Barry was saying he was bored. I'm just saying as superheroes do when they bored, they put on charity events.
Yeah, Iris had put on a thing. The magician didn't show up, and so Barry tried to do a rope climbing trick. When he vibrated his molecules, he disappeared from the stage. Like trying to do a magic trick, he just disappeared and wound up in a new universe.
We've all had a rough Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, chewing your arm off.
At least the charity event was successful.
Yeah,
He's half of a good magician, kind of like my dad.
Yeah.
He just never showed back up.
He just never showed back.
It's like my cousin that lives in a trailer. He's almost an actor. He just never gets called to set.
Right.
So he's in the other world. He teams up with Jay. They hunt down some criminals doing some robberies, save the day, and it ends with Barry coming back to the right Earth, going, "Man, I'm going to track down." Insert name of the author who created the Flash. Going once.
What, you talking about originally
original
created him?
guy. Because in Barry's world, that author is the author of the Flash comic. And
right.
All
It was Gardner Fox.
I told you,
there we
I got
go.
my research assignment, and I hyper-focused on that.
Yeah, that was Gardner Fox.
Yeah, so the last panel is Barry saying, "Oh, I'm going to track down Gardner Fox. Tell him about this adventure so he can write a comic book about this adventure," being very meta and fourth wall breaking and all that. And that, by the way, is Flash of Two Worlds. Actually, is Flash number 123, released in 1961. It's been reprinted, re-released so many times because
the DC Comics classics. I have it over there.
Yeah.
Those are expensive too.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah, they're like $40 for what is essentially a single issue.
Right.
There's also supposedly a digital version of it out there now, released in 2009. That should be pretty easy to come by.
Oh, especially if you get the DC digital service.
Oh, I'm
There
sure
you
it's
go.
going to be on there, yeah.
Yeah, anything recently released digitally,
Yeah.
So that brings us to Barry Allen, probably, arguably the most famous Flash. I mean, I think for people of our generation, they're gonna lean more towards Wally because he was the Flash in the Justice League of America cartoon and Justice League Unlimited cartoon, but he was Barry's sidekick first. So Barry he made his first appearance in 1956, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Showcase number 4.
Showcase number 4. So if I remember correctly, Barry, forensic scientist, working late one night, lightning bolt comes through the window, knocks him backwards into a bunch of chemicals.
So very spot on with the TV show.
Yes, I think the only thing you could take out of it was the whole particle reactor thing. That wasn't in the comics.
Okay.
It was really just lightning bolt came through window, hit
But
him.
it wasn't just a lightning bolt.
I think we learned in Rebirth. It was, I don't know if it was Rebirth or not. But
I thought it was Lightning Saga.
It is Lightning Saga. What were you going to say, though? What is it that we learned?
It's not just a lightning bolt. It's Barry Allen giving himself his own powers.
Wait, how does that work?
Exactly.
No.
It doesn't.
That doesn't
Because
make
it's
sense.
physics in a Flash comic.
All right, I'm ignoring that.
We kind of have to.
Canon.
Yeah, because I think we...
Okay, not pre-crisis canon.
Yeah, pre-crisis canon.
What's pre-crisis for our listeners who don't know?
Pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, they can go back and listen to our first episode.
I'm taking a shot at a former coworker.
There we go.
And now it's time for Kid.
Wookiee's kid.
Wookie, how's your kid?
She's good.
And that was Wookiee's Kid.
But in all seriousness, she chewed the cover of a power outlet off the wall last night.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's staying in.
No, that's fine. She's finally not good.
Right. She's a very bad girl.
It finally changed. The weather changed. Barry was the lightning bolt that comes back through time and strikes him, that knocks him into the chemicals, giving his powers. And it was in, what issue was it again, Dave?
Secret Origins number 2, I think it was, in 1988.
Okay, so it wasn't long after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Right.
So Jess is giving me this super confused look.
No, but Barry had to have speed in order to give Barry speed.
Right.
So, in Flash Comics,
I see what
time is a very malleable thing, and it's not necessarily linear. Time is a plot convenience in Flash Comics, and that is all that it is. So if a writer can use it to do, writers can use it to do whatever they want. So in this case, a Barry Allen that was trapped in the Speed Force, which exists outside of time and space, used energy from the Speed Force to create the lightning bolt that hit him back in the 60s which was the lightning bolt that sent him into the chemicals and made him.
You remember when you said I was going to feel like the dimwit here pretty soon? We're there.
That moment came in pretty quick.
It's very... And here's the thing. With Flash comics and whatnot, it's very easy. It's not to say that Flash comics are unapproachable. It's just you have to... I've read a ton of Flash comics. I still find myself going, wait, what? I thought... fuck it, never mind.
So you just have to be flexible.
Was the original Flash, is that how he got his powers? And then this situation he was just mimicking a similar situation?
It's funny that you mentioned that. No, but something like that does eventually happen. Okay. Barry Allen wasn't mimicking what happened to Jay Garrick, but people have mimicked what happened to Barry Allen. And that's where we get into people like Wally West. Actually, Eobard Thawne was the first one.
Yeah, because he was...
The Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, was the first to replicate the accident that gave Barry Allen his powers. The difference being is that Professor Zoom, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, these are all names for the same character, he is from the future. 25th century, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. Great admirer of the Flash, but still thinks he could make the Flash a better hero. And eventually wants to replace him. And so he recreates the accident that gave Barry Allen his powers and becomes a speedster himself.
Now, was there a Golden Age version?
What's that?
Was there a Golden Age version of Reverse Flash?
The nearest thing would have been the Rival that we discussed earlier.
Oh, okay.
That would have been the nearest thing.
Okay.
And then you have Wally West. Who... It's okay, so we had a conversation about this earlier, because Wally West originally was shown by his aunt, Iris, was taken to meet Barry Allen. And didn't he saw the lab where it all went down, didn't he?
How they did it was... Wally's parents weren't necessarily a big fan of who he was as a kid, his interests and whatnot, him being so infatuated with the Flash. So he goes to visit his Aunt Iris. Iris is dating Barry Allen. They end up saying to Wally, hey, Barry's actually good friends with the Flash because he works at the police department, he helps catch bad guys. And Wally begs and begs and begs, hey, can I meet the Flash? So they set it up. So he says, yeah, come on over to Barry's apartment. The Flash will show up, and wow, this is sounding perverted. And Barry Allen shows up as the Flash.
Does he flash?
No, Chris Hansen comes out and says, "Why
Is
are
he
you
allergic
here?"
to water?
It was a reverse to catch a predator, where they entice the kid over to the house. They grossly misunderstood. They grossly misunderstood the concept or the term child predator. They were catching children that were sexual predators. Go seat right here. Why'd you bring the brownies? Because I like brownies.
They're my special roofie cookies.
But yeah, Wally ends up kind of getting the grand tour of everything that Barry went through, which is stupid for an impressionable kid.
Yeah, because Barry just says, because Wally says, how did you get your powers? And Barry just says, oh, here, let me set up these chemicals exactly how they were the night. And Wally's like, well, do you think I'll ever become I could get super speed?
Only if lightning hits you like this.
And Barry says, no, it's literally a 1 in a billion chance. Boom! Lightning comes through the window, hits this poor little sumbitch, knocks him into the chemicals, and he gets the powers. And the Flash's first reaction was, "You cannot tell anybody that this just happened."
and Iris magically gets a breast enlargement because while 1,000,000,000 to 1 odds are going off.
So was Wally the lightning that hit him to become Wally?
No, bad luck was that.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being Barry also.
Yeah,
but I know during the Jeff Johns run, I think it's actually the Jeff Johns run starts out, and it's actually Wally is a mechanic for Keystone City Police Department. The Flash comics, okay, so Superman has Metropolis, Batman has Gotham City. What is it? Star City is Green Arrows. Yeah. Coast City is Green Lanterns. The Flash, Barry Allen had Central City, which is basically Kansas City, Missouri.
Essentially.
And then there's another city that's its twin city that's called Keystone City, which is basically Kansas City, Kansas. Huh?
Like the beer?
What?
Keystone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a shitty city with shitty beer. So while Barry is very much a presence in Central City, Wally West in the Jeff Johns run of comics, because Jeff Johns wrote a lot of really great Flash stuff. Oh, yeah. But it was all based around Wally because Barry was dead.
Yes. I think that needs a correction. Jeff Johns writes a lot of great stuff in general.
And we're going to circle back to that. The only point I'm trying to make here is I remember during the Jeff Johns run, there is a point where the lightning strikes Wally when he's a little bit older as a teenager, while he's working on cars in the motor pool of Keystone City Police Department. Yeah, so it's a little bit different.
Huh.
But then again, there was a lot of stuff that went on in that series because his identity was erased from the collective consciousness due to a deal made with the Spectre, blah, blah, blah. But we glossed right over something that we should get back to. Barry Allen died.
Yeah. So that was how Crisis on Infinite Earths ended. That's how they were able to beat the Anti-Monitor, the villain who was trying to basically consume all of the universe. And I don't remember all the specifics. I just know Barry had to run faster than any basically object had ever moved before and hit the Anti-Monitor or start a vortex near him. And literally you see slowly these panels are going and Barry is racing to save the universe and he's slowly disintegrating as he's running.
Which, as we find out later, he's actually going into the Speed Force itself.
Right, and into Marvel Comics.
Yes, exactly. That is a really neat piece of trivia.
Yeah,
Barry Allen goes so fast and goes into the Speed Force that he jumps into a Quasar comic from Marvel, which I have. I have it. And he crashes to Earth. He's got this long blonde hair, and all he can say is buried alien.
Yep. He's still got the gold boots on.
Still got the gold boots.
None of the rest of his suit.
I don't know how it was pulled off or why. I don't know if it was something where... Because wasn't it Marv Wolfman that wrote Crisis?
No, was this just a wink, wink, nod, nod that it was him? Or is this actually
Marv Wolfman went from Crisis on Infinite Earths and then years later ended up writing Quasar, of all people. It was, I guess, a little bit bigger in the 90s. and was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do this little wink and nods to like kill him over at DC. He wound up in a Marvel comic.
And then he ends up getting into a race.
Quasar 18, I think?
He ends up getting into a race with somebody in that issue. He's only around for like
Quasar.
with Quasar, and he's only around for that issue, but he's referred to as Buried Alien. Mm-hmm. And then he runs and he ends up back in the Speed Force, and he's gone until roughly 2009. I mean, that happened in 1985, 1987, Crisis on Universe. Yeah. So he's gone until 2009-ish when Final Crisis happens, and when Flash Rebirth, when Jeff Johns decided to start doing Flash again.
That was a very hard and fast rule for a while, too, at DC. Barry Allen is dead.
Barry Allen dead.
And it wasn't until Jeff Johns that they said, you know, because I think I remember seeing an interview with Jeff Johns about this. It's on one of the, it's a bonus feature on one of the millions of DC DVDs that we have, where he's talking about the sort of the issues he was having with writing Wally because of, well, everything else seemed to belong to Barry, all the bad guys and blah, blah, blah. And eventually DC was just like, do whatever you want.
Right. And like I can't remember which came out first, Final Crisis or Flash Rebirth, Jeff Johns' Flash Rebirth. Because in Grant Morrison's Final Crisis, Barry comes back in that.
Right.
So, but I mean...
And Batman disappears.
Yeah, kind of. Batman is sent tumbling through time, living several different lives, but that's a whole other. That's an episode for another day. Yeah. So we have.
I'm actually going to find out for you the answer to the Flash Rebirth versus Final Crisis. So Flash Rebirth was 6 months, and that was from April 2009 to February 2010.
Okay.
There's no way Crisis was after that. Yeah, Final Crisis was May 2008 to January 2009. Yeah, okay. So it was, the Final Crisis was the return of Barry Allen. Rebirth was the consequences of the return of Barry Allen.
That and him coming to terms with being back.
Right. And there was sort of that trade-off because we lost Wally.
Yeah.
In Infinite Crisis.
Yes.
We lost Wally in Infinite Crisis. And Bart had taken over, but Bart was murdered before Final Crisis.
By the top, yes?
No, by all the rogues.
No, because that's what Rogue's Revenge is about.
No, Inertia tricked them.
Okay.
So there's a Reverse Flash. We've established that. There's also been a Reverse Kid Flash, and he's called Inertia. He's a psychopath. He tricks all the Flash's bad guys into accidentally breaking one of their big rules, which is we don't kill speedsters. And they murder Bart Allen, who at that time was the Flash. That leads to Rogue's Revenge, where they want to hunt down and murder Inertia.
So if I followed that correctly, there was a point where there wasn't a Flash because they were all dead?
Yes. Technically gone.
Barry was in the Speed Force. Wally was in the Speed Force. Bart was murdered. Barry came back if there was a time where they weren't, it was a month.
Yeah, I mean, Wally comes back before Barry did. Wally comes back in Brad Meltzer's The Lightning Saga run, which is a story in which Legion of Superheroes come back in time, and they don't really tell the Justice League or anybody what the hell they're doing, and they are able to pull Wally and his two kids out of the Speed Force.
So Wally's kids got sucked into the Speed Force.
Yeah, Wally's kids we're definitely going to get into in part 2, or episode 2.
Yeah, I had no idea they had kids. That's cool.
Jay and Irie, or Iris is her first name. And then Barry has kids too, just that's a timeline jump. But I said part 2, we're going to get into that. Yeah,
awesome.
So we just threw a lot of information out there between House, myself, and Jerry. Any questions, Jess or Greg? Do you guys have any questions about anything you've ever heard? Anything that doesn't make sense? Because I guarantee there's probably plenty.
Yeah, like what in the East Jesus is the Speed Force,
right?
But see, I watch enough of the show that it kind of just makes sense. But hey, what in the world is the Speed Force?
You know how they describe the Force in Star Wars as an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and binds us and brings us all together.
Yeah,
And they're
Dave.
tiny bugs
The
in your blood.
Speed Force, shut the fuck up and
I didn't hear him.
Midichlorians.
he made a midichlorian reference. He knows better. Anyway, so that's actually kind of what the Speed Force is. The Speed Force is a universal energy created by the movement of all living things that exists outside time and space and sort of holds the multiverse together. Recently, they've revealed that the Speed Force isn't the only multiversal force. There are other ones, but we'll get into that next episode maybe when I've had a chance to relook at my Flash comics and catch up, because they're slowly revealing that. So the Speed Force is very much, it's what gives all the Flashes their powers. It also protects the Flashes from the physical ramifications of the speed at which they move. Because technically speaking, a Flash wouldn't be able to move that quickly because they'd run into air molecules that can't get out of their way fast enough. It'd be like running into a brick wall. So the Speed Force sort of protects them and makes them frictionless.
So it's like a
wind,
bubble they're
wind
in?
shear would really tear them apart.
Well, Greg
Does
made
that
he had
mean, yeah, that's what building off of Greg's question. Does that mean they don't really need a special suit?
They do, because their feet are still hitting the ground and whatnot, so their boots that they wear are they're friction proof. So they don't have to. So
Maybe that's why his boots were still around.
It also depends. It also depends on the user's connection to the Speed Force. Wally West mainlines the Speed Force. He is the most adept user of it, so he can use it to do just about anything he wants. His suit, at certain points, has actually been made out of pure Speed Force energy.
Whoa.
That's actually one of my favorite parts of Flash Rebirth is when Barry comes, and when Barry's back, Wally, Kid Flash, which is actually Wally's kid Iris in that, and Jay are racing off to go face Eobard Thawne. Barry's suit's all beat up. And so Wally tells him, hey, just think about what you want your suit to look like and run. And then, boom, he's wearing a brand new suit. So Wally was able to teach him, hey, think about what you want your suit to look like and just run faster, and the Speed Force will create it for you.
Make it pink. Make it blue.
Yeah.
Make it pink. Make it blue.
Essentially,
would have
if you wanted to break it down in a very cynical way, what is the Speed Force? It's a plot convenience.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but it is a central facet. So, like, Jay Garrick doesn't have a connection to the Speed Force. He is a meta, like the hard water thing, as you said earlier, I think it kind of got missed, but it unlocked his meta gene, which for the DC Comics kind of alluded to, like, okay, most people have a meta gene, so everybody could become a superhero, but either it activates or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it just never will. There's no way to. It's really difficult to force it to.
Could I activate mine by tacos?
Become a millionaire or eat tacos.
Yeah.
Johnny Quick also doesn't have the Speed Force. He has the Speed Formula.
Right. He has a math equation. He just says, and he can run super fast.
I don't know where Max Mercury's coming. And now we're going to start a whole new segment where Dave tries to become a superhero with me, Dave. Today, since we're doing the Flash, I decided I'd become the Flash. How did I do this, you might ask? Well, I didn't have the chemicals. I did have a toaster and a butter knife. I do not have the Speed Force, but I pissed my pants a lot. What did I learn?
Potato.
Nothing that time, but I think the theory's sound.
Did you try and Dave and Buster's down on 64?
No, I think a fork would work because it has the ability to arc across the prongs.
So it can create lightning.
Any children that are listening, no.
No.
Whatever you're thinking right now, no.
But
Parents,
if you're an adult,
if you know parents, if you look to your left or to your right, notice that your child is their wheels turning. Talk to their teachers, because the education's not working. Teachers, I appreciate you, and you're vastly underpaid. The more you know. Stay tuned next time, where I try to become Batman and orphan myself. Greg's look.
I want a shirt with that on it.
Go orphan yourself.
Go Batman yourself.
I love it.
Greg, you had a Speed Force question?
C, yes. So I know there's competition with play with Superman and the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So the Speed Force, I guess, does Superman does he have the Speed Force too?
No.
No,
he can contribute to it as all living things do through their motion, through like literal motion. But he cannot utilize
Can you see it?
No.
Can you see it?
Can non-Speed Force people see it?
He can see it insofar as anybody who sees a Flash run and sees all that lightning around him can see it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So then the Speed Force is something... I don't know how to ask this question. So the Speed Force is what gives the Flash's power. Is that what makes the Flash fast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the Flash is only fast because of the Speed Force, but Superman is fast just because he's fast.
Superman is fast. No, Superman is fast because of a metabolic difference brought on by Earth's yellow sun. If we're going to start nitpicking which one's faster when you take away something else, fine. Let's see how fast Superman is under a red fucking sun.
He's not very. I mean,
Fair.
He's let's call it a tall. He's
a tall farm
boy. So he's the speed of a in shape Brian Urlacher. So,
but
scary.
Yeah, I don't want him running at me.
But they're both fast because of something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's a superpower.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah. What's up?
I have a question about
Wookie.
Speed Force too.
What's up, Wookie?
So,
Greg? What's up, Greg? Since we're messing up people's names.
okay, Henry.
Sorry, no, it's a combination of Wookie and Greg. Weg.
So, in the TV show,
yeah,
there's an episode, ages since I've seen it, don't know what they were called, where there was like Grim Reapers chasing Barry through the Speed Force.
Black Flash.
Is that legit?
There's a couple different things there. There's a Black Flash and there's also a Black Rider. Racer, yeah. The Black Racer is interesting. The Black Racer has been the Black Flash and vice versa. It's death for speedsters. Okay. Traditionally, the traditional concept of death is not fast enough to keep up with a speedster. So the Speed Force has its own method of doling out death for people who manipulate the Speed Force in a bad way. And that is the Black Racer or the Black Flash, depending on the comic that you read. I prefer the Black Flash because it looks like a zombie Flash in a black suit. The Black Racer is literally a guy on skis.
And he's actually a member of the New God. He's actually part of the New Gods, because that was actually... Yeah, that version doesn't have anything to do with... That Black Racer doesn't have anything to do with the Speed Force.
That's right. We go back and forth on this all the time whenever we talk about it. Yeah, that's right. I always forget about that.
Yeah, that one was specific... Pretty much, Grant Morrison created that one for Final Crisis.
Right.
And he was racing towards he was chasing after Barry Allen because Barry Allen was chasing... He was doing something he shouldn't have involved with the New God, so he was trying to catch him and kill him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there is a... Yeah, it's a comic. It's an the Black Racer is an avatar of death, which was actually the Black Racer came out in 1971. That was a Jack Kirby creation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that tracks too.
Yeah, Black Flash is, hey, this is what happens when a speedster fucks around. There is a sort of sentience, I guess, to the Speed Force in that regard, and that it knows when things need to be put into balance. And that's kind of one of the reasons that Barry Allen was in the Speed Force, and then Wally West was in the Speed Force, is because the Speed Force has to be kept up, and sometimes it needs sort of a sacrifice of someone in there and keeping it going almost manually, like a mouse on a wheel.
Yeah, in Jeff Johns' Flash Rebirth in 2009. Because all the Black Flash has to do to take you is just touch you. Mm-hmm. And it's actually racing after Barry in that. And he actually does touch him. And Barry becomes the Black Flash, and it takes pretty much the entire Justice League to bottle him up to get that out of him, so he's just back to being Barry.
Now, is there in the Speed Force? Is there a thing that decides
not right?
someone's done wrong, or is it like the Force? Where
it's like the Force.
Okay.
I mean, the TV show tried to make it a bit more picky and choosy and more sentient than it really is.
And they made the Black Flash phantom-y.
Yeah.
You never saw its legs or anything, because it looked like a Dementor from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, it's very much, if you took the Flash, gave it a zombie face, and made the suit all black with a red lightning bolt, that's the Black Flash.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, the more you delve into the Flash, the more infinitely complicated it really gets. It
can get, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not. It's not it is accessible and it is very readable. You can. It may be a little bit harder to jump into Flash stuff depending on Okay, am I just jumping into Wally West stuff? Okay, then I may have missed some stuff that's gonna there's gonna be some time travel stuff. Okay, well, what the hell? Now I gotta go look this shit up.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to time travel, that'll bring us to the fourth person that actually did carry the mantle of the Flash. He was mainly.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Is the Black Flash? Was he similar to the Reapers in the show of the Flash?
Yeah.
So was that their? So the Reapers are a thing that wasn't their version of the Black Flash.
It was their version of the Black Flash.
Yeah.
Okay. They looked
them
similar. Actually, if you want to see a good representation of the Black Flash, it's in Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
They actually had the Black Flash in Legends.
Huh.
I think it was hunting Eobard.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I need to catch up on Legends at some point. I feel my comic book burnout, comic book TV show burnout, it's sort of wearing off. But there's so much to catch up with. I need to finish Jessica Jones. I need to do Luke Cage season 2, and then Iron Fist comes out, and then Daredevil season 3.
We're just gonna baby.
Punisher,
I'm not gonna force it on him. I'm just, whatever he feels like watching, he feels like watching. I may start. I want to get caught up on Supergirl and the Flash, but
I'm so excited.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I want to watch Flash.
Give it time.
I really like that show.
So what I was saying is the time.
But as far as where you jump in, I jumped in reading the Flash because to me the Flash was just he's as far as I was concerned, it's how people regard Aquaman as he talks to fish. To me, the Flash was just he's fast. Who cares? And then I started reading Flash comics, the Jeff Johns run, in about probably 2008 or so. So about 10 years ago. And I started with Jeff Johns, and that was all Wally West stuff. That was a great jumping off point. And honestly, I think it really did legitimately get me interested in concepts of physics and whatnot, to the point where I was looking up those concepts on Wikipedia and buying books and stuff like that. I don't think I would have some of the books in my library like Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson if it weren't for Flash comics. Influence in a positive way.
So to the time travel aspects is where we get the fourth individual who carried the name of the Flash. Now, primarily was a kid Flash, but he did hold the name of the title of Flash for a short period of time, and that is Bart Allen. Mm-hmm. Bart is Barry's grandson. Now, at one point during Barry Allen's continuity, after he'd come back, him and Iris went to the 31st century. And he was either 31st or 20th.
30. Well, Bart was born in the 30th.
Okay, 30th.
Are you talking? Oh, you're talking about where Barry went?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Flash 300.
Okay.
It was. I like this part actually. Barry Allen was accused of murdering Eobard Thawne. This was in Flash 293, I think. The thing is, he did kill Eobard Thawne because Eobard Thawne killed Iris. And actually, recently, I picked up the Death of Iris West issue.
Nice.
Yeah, I have it. Iris, they went to a costume party. Iris was dressed as Batgirl and was murdered. And this Halloween costume party became a whodunit. Well, it turns out it was Eobard Thawne.
Was she shot?
Huh? I'm pretty sure he vibrated his fingers into the back of her head.
Yes.
And ripped apart her brain from the inside. No, you're making a Killing Joke reference. I got you.
Okay, there we go.
And she wasn't dead. She's paralyzed.
Yeah.
And then...
Paralyzed.
Terrible. Oh, no, I was referring to what the Joker...
Oh, yeah.
Imply the Joker did to her while she was
Well,
frozen.
there's
But anyway.
deleted panels that...
Yeah, anyway.
But anyway, so Iris West is murdered. Barry go crazy. So Barry kills Eobard Thawne and is actually put on trial for it. And then after the whole trial of the Flash, 273, Barry decides to retire. And it's in Flash 300. He retires to the 30th century.
Right.
Why the 30th? Because it turns out Iris is from the 30th century. Iris West is not from the 20th century. Why? Because it's a Flash comic and fuck it, time travel.
Right.
So he and Iris retired to the 30th century. And that's how we get to Bart Allen, born in the 30th century, only being the grandson of Barry.
Right.
Because he should be the great-great-great. He's talking 10 centuries, 1,000 years later.
Right.
Talking a millennia later.
Yeah. Bart's dad was Bart's dad, Barry's son, Don. Don Allen.
One of the Tornado Twins.
One of the Tornado Twins. Barry and Iris have a pair of twins called... Their names are Dawn, D-O-N, and Dawn, D-A-W-N.
Fuck them.
Right. Dawn and Dawn.
Okay, is it killing me? Is it killing anybody else? Dawn and Don. Donald?
Right.
Dawn. I feel like you're saying Dawn and Dawn.
That's how I pronounce it.
I know. It's one of those regional dialect things.
So
next, we're going to talk about the long metal thing that you climb, what you go swimming in, and the opposite of pushing. Pole, pool, pull.
Yeah, those are all spelled different.
No, I know people who pronounce them all the same. Though.
Oh. Okay, so...
What about there?
Dawn
and there.
And...
They're both
Oh,
the
God.
same.
That's so thumb. So dumb. Now we're just going to all brag on how each of us says something.
Ooh, I got one. What about Greg and Gary?
You should see how House says which Starbucks he ordered from.
Ah, damn.
Or you should see how I pronounce cinnamon is pronounced cumin and I put it on my fucking toes.
So many callbacks. It's amazing.
Yeah. Just like a Flash comic.
Now we gotta go back in time, release this episode first, and create a time paradox. So anyway,
So Bart decides to... I thought he just came back in time for funsies. I know in like the Young Justice cartoon, they bring him back because all his future sucked and the world had been wiped out. So he runs back in time and to try and help the Teen Titans that team fix it and prevent it. I don't know what was his time period shitty. When he came back, when he ran back, I think it was he just...
I've not read enough Bart Allen prior to him being the Flash. I've read Bart Allen as the Flash, but I never read much of him as Impulse or Kid Flash.
Okay.
At one point, so Flash eventually had the sidekick Wally West, who was known as Kid Flash. Eventually, there was another sidekick known as Impulse, because they didn't want to have two Kid Flashes running around.
Yes.
Meanwhile, there's two Wally West running around in Rebirth.
Currently.
Yeah.
So Bart is, he was a member of Teen Titans, several different organizations, and then after we've mentioned before, Barry was gone, Wally was gone, Bart takes up the mantle as the Flash, ends up getting killed the Rogues Gallery ends up killing him.
Jesus.
Oh, yes. Actually, Bart's future sucked.
Yeah, okay. So his world had ended or whatnot.
Yeah. Bart's parents were arrested in 2995 by the government of Earth, which was under the control of the Dominators. There was a one-day trial. The charges were trumped up, and the twins were executed. Bart Allen's parents were executed. And then, Don...
I'm still tripping over. His parents are twins?
No,
his dad was one of the twins.
His dad and his aunt.
But here's what's funny. His mother was Carmen Johnson, whose real name was Melanie Thawne,
yes.
who was a descendant of Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom. So
Jesus.
Bart Allen is part Flash family and part Thawne family. So there's some evil in there. I mean, there isn't, but Bart never really acts on any of it.
Getting a Jon Snow vibe here.
No, because they were never related.
Yeah, maybe that was my problem and how I doled out the information there. Barry's kids were twins, boy girl.
Okay.
The boy gets married to Melanie Thawne.
Okay.
And they have Bart. No, I don't think there's anything that happens to Dwan. Dwan.
And he goes back in time. He goes back in time because his metabolism is too fast. And it's making him age rapidly. So he's taken back in time and then tricked into a race around the world by Barry, who, because he forced him to expel such a tremendous amount of Speed Force energy, it shocks his metabolism back into place. So he stops his rapid aging. So that's why he's stuck back in time. Otherwise, he had spent most of his childhood in a virtual reality simulation.
So who is Bart?
Bart is Barry's grandson.
And
then Wally was just a guy they brought around to see the experiment.
Right.
Got zapped.
He is eventually Barry Allen's nephew through marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm going to need a
Barry's
flow chart
wife's
for
nephew.
this at some point.
I swear to God, there's one in one of my Flash.
Yeah, I can draw that up for you. That's fine. And maybe we'll put my doodles on the Nerdsplain It page.
Jay, Barry, Iris, Wally.
Visual depictions are great for podcasts.
Yeah.
Twins.
Love those hands.
He's using his hands for those who can't see.
So, before we get out of here, Dave did a great job illustrating it right there, with his hands, but talking about how Bart went back in time, his metabolism was too fast, and Barry challenges him to a race.
Future Barry or present day Barry?
Present day Barry.
Okay.
So obviously the Flashes are capable of some very amazing things.
Yeah, I'm in love from so far. It's
right.
Awesome.
So you haven't read a whole lot of Flash, but I know you've seen a fair bit of the TV show.
Was
there a moment? Was there anything in the TV show you were like, "Holy hell, that was awesome"?
Oh, when he can throw lightning with his hands, that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that is a good where he's literally balling up Speed Force lightning and throwing it at somebody.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is a really cool one.
I didn't watch the last season of the Flash. Have they gotten to the point where he can exist in the 2 points in the same room?
No, they haven't done that.
That's cool.
Wally has been so fast that he has appeared to have a conversation between Wally West and the Flash in the room of a sick kid in the hospital.
Because he's moving so unbelievably fast.
I mean, you would have to change clothes back.
Yeah, that's how fast he is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
Greg, Gary, Frank, do you, through the TV show or any Flash stuff that you've read, is there any Flash feats that any of the Flashes have done that stick out in your head that you're like, oh, holy shit, that makes them really cool?
It's not that big of a deal, but I think there was a fight maybe that he had with Superman, and he was running around him, and he was like, "Oh, you can't touch me. No one's ever touched me." And Superman was like, "Oh, flick."
Oh, that was the movie Justice League.
Yeah.
Oh, question for you about that actually. Was it just DC's prerogative to make it seem like whenever the Flash ran, he was in the Speed Force?
He always is.
Yeah, he runs. He basically goes into the Speed Force essentially, at least a little bit to tap into it to be able to run that fast.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the animated shows when they just see him running fast, it's just a blur. But
yeah,
to him,
he's actually in the Speed
Force.
If
he's running faster than a normal human would, he's using the Speed Force. If he's not using the Speed Force, then everything is at the speed of a regular human. I'm pretty sure that's how his perception works. Because a conversation, I'd blow my fucking brains out.
Well, he has said that. He's like, do you realize how painful it is for me to sit here and have this conversation?
Yeah. Which is funny, because as a Flash feat, it was Superman Grounded, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was actually the one I was going to bring up.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. I won't step on your...
no, you're good.
I won't step on your favorite here.
In the very existential but very well-written story by John Michael Straczynski.
Jay, I've always seen it as Jay. I didn't know what his first name was.
I'm just going to go Straczynski and stop saying his name over and over again.
He's going to write us and be like, how dare you?
Wait, is it John or John? John Michael Straczynski?
John?
It's John Michael Straczynski. It doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter.
It's a wicked pisser of an issue.
Superman is standing there in the field as Barry's running by. And Barry hits the brakes, runs back over. He says, "What's up?" Superman, what's going on? I got to be in Miami in 6 seconds to stop something. And Clark just says, "I got a question for you. Whenever you're running full flat out across the country, what do you see?" And Barry at first tells him, because it's really just a blur. I'm focused on where I'm trying to go and how fast I need to get there. Later on, they end up crossing paths again, and they're sitting there in a diner. Having a conversation, but they're doing it at super speed. They're literally sitting there having this relaxed lunch, eating, drinking their coffee and whatnot at light speed while everything else is happening around them. Like panel by panel, you see the waitress start to trip and fall, and everything's falling out of her hands, and they're still just casually having the conversation. And Barry asks him, it tells him, "Hey, you asked me the other day, what do I see when I'm running across the country?" And he said, "I see everything. I can perceive things that take less than an attosecond to happen." I'm not going to get into the deep science of what an attosecond is, but it is.
Oh, I would.
Dave can illustrate it if he so chooses.
Well, part 2.
Part 2. We'll dive into that in part 2.
There's actually a meme we can put on the website too.
Right, we can. But in part 2, we're going to talk about a little bit more of the Flash science, or some more impressive things that Flash has done. But he perceives things that science itself has trouble even understanding because they happen so fast. And to him, it is a normal, everyday occurrence. He's just so fast that it's like we said, sitting there having a normal conversation with people is difficult for him because of how fast his world is. The other thing I like is when the Justice League asked him to clean up a mess after a big fight, and they said, "Come on, it would only take you about 5 minutes to clean this up." And he goes, "Yeah, for you guys, it's like 6 weeks for me. This is gonna suck."
Yeah, and he spent all that time running from the site because he was rebuilding an entire building, and he kept running back and forth to the library to learn how.
Nice.
So he's going back and forth, back and forth.
Actually, no, what it was, he ran to the library, read the entire library's worth of information on architecture, and runs back, and he had to rebuild, because he had to rebuild the building before the memory was metabolized out of his brain.
Yeah, because potentially the Flash could have the entire sum of human knowledge, and he could do that in no time. He could read every single book on the planet, even learn every single language that he needs to. But his ability to retain that memory is not advanced enough, and no Flashes has ever been. Otherwise, a already overpowered character would be even more overpowered.
So, before you've read the most Flash of anybody in this one by far, so you've probably got a couple that neat Flash moments I want to hear from you. Jess, is there anything from the TV show, from the Justice League movie, or anything that you've read that you were like, "Oh, this was a really cool thing that the Flash did"?
I mean, I like the phasing through walls.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Do you know how he does it?
Does he vibrate?
Vibrates faster, and the molecules kind of...
He vibrates at the same frequency.
That's right.
Of whatever he's phasing through. Exactly.
My favorite example of that was in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon. He had a bomb strapped to his wrist, and he was literally running across the ocean, and Batman says, "Run at that iceberg and start vibrating your wrist and get it stuck in the iceberg, and then run before the bomb blows up."
So even the Flash needs Batman's help.
On occasion.
Didn't they have him do that? They had him do that in like season one of the TV series when dealing with the Mark Hamill trickster.
Yeah,
that was a great episode too.
Oh yeah,
because they had both tricksters. They had James Jesse and they had Alec. What's his name? Alec Walker.
Yeah,
Alex Walker.
Man, how do you do that?
What
if something's attached? Like I get like phasing through something, but if something's physically attached to you. How do you phase through something that's attached to you?
Because you can phase through it, but the thing that's attached to you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's on you, wouldn't it move at the same like his suit?
Well, no, because
not necessarily. Do you ever wear a necklace and jump up and down?
Yeah, but I would imagine a bomb wouldn't be as loose as a necklace.
Hard to say.
Or wear a
right? I mean,
you moved your arm and wearing a watch at the same time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's lazy craftsmanship on the bomb maker's part.
Or if you just take the Speed Force out from around the bomb itself.
There you go.
Because then it's akin to if you're sitting in a moving car and you throw a tennis ball up, you still catch it because it doesn't fly to the back of the car. But
see, I don't catch it.
But if you open the window and try to do it outside the window, now you have wind resistance, and that's going to blow the fucker back.
So,
but if it had the Speed Force, it'd be protected.
It would. That's what I say. If you uncoat the Speed Force from that foreign object. Yeah. Sorry.
So give me a couple of your favorite Flash things. I know Wally's more your boy.
Well, it's not even that. A lot of my favorite Flash things, I'm always a big fan of villains.
Right.
Villains, to me, you're not a good hero if you don't have good villains. And the Flash has, to me, some of the most underrated villains on the friggin' planet. So a lot of mine come from his villains who are just sadistic a-holes. But I would say Barry Allen. Barry Allen outran the God Killer bullet, didn't he?
Yes.
So Barry Allen would be outrunning the Omega Sanction.
No, he has outrun our Darkseid's Omega beams, but yeah, he was.
Who outran the Lantern Rings? Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Barry, it's outrunning the Black Lantern Rings during Blackest Night. Blackest Night was a neat DC story where a bunch of dead DC characters came back as zombies, tried to make more zombies, and they were Black Lanterns, kind of like the Green Lantern, but black. And the rings would hunt down, dead people, and it would also take on people who have died in the comics before, but even if they had come back, and Barry outran them. Wally, cool one with him. Kingdom Come. He's everywhere in Central City and Keystone City at the exact same time. He's moved so fast, he exists at every point in time and space in his city. There is no crime because you can't get away with it.
Right.
But also, Wally broke time itself. He traveled so quickly with the help of everybody on Earth that he moved faster than physics has an explanation for. It's so fast the rules of time and space break down and collapse entirely. Really love that one. Bart, I don't have a whole lot just because I haven't read too much Bart. He died.
I know, but it's gotta be the boo moment when he scares the shit out of Superboy Prime.
Oh yeah.
When they realize that the only from Legion of Three Worlds.
I haven't read that one in a while. Is that on my shelf?
Yeah, Legion of Three Worlds. They bring Bart. They wake Bart. They bring Bart Allen back to life to help take on Superboy Prime, a villain. And when he shows up to the fight, all he says is "boo" to Superboy Prime because he had kicked the hell out of him prior to that. And Superboy Prime can't do anything to Bart because he's not fast enough. And Bart kicks the shit out of this infinitely powerful being.
Yeah. Bart's neat. I wish there had been more written about him. I'm guessing he just didn't sell well.
Yeah,
because there wasn't a whole lot done with him.
Right.
Well, that's part one.
That is part one. I think we got some good solid stuff out there. Part two, I definitely will. Hopefully, people will join us. Part two, we're going to be talking about other Ultimate versions of Flash. Dave touched on a couple of them. We're definitely going to dive into the Flash's villains because we would be doing a disservice if we didn't. If we're going to talk about the Flash and we really don't go into his villains and the special relationship that the Flashes, primarily Barry and Wally, have with their main villains. It's a very different and very unique dynamic.
And if you thought the Flash was confusing, just wait till you try to wrap your head around the difference between the two Reverse Flashes when there's only actually one Reverse Flash, and his alternate name is Professor Zoom, but then there's another one whose name is Zoom, who's not technically a speedster. He actually controls his own personal timeline. It gets really confusing.
Okay. So, definitely want to remind people to check out the Nerdsplain It helpline, 805-669-7230. We're always taking requests for episodes, or if you've just got some specific questions about episodes that you've heard us do and you want us to give you some more information. So hit us up again on that. It's 805-669-7230. Check us out on the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those are the only three that I know. And then our website, nerdsplainit.com.
Patreon page.
And that was the other thing. Our Patreon page, we've got our different rewards levels set up. I think Jess...
For only $5 a month, You can get early access to episodes.
For only $5 a month?
Only $5 a month.
Wow.
And
$5 a month. Early access.
And we're getting sued.
no, it was Gary.
Sue us from jail.
And on that note, don't forget to
what? No
Segues.
Segues are weird, huh? Don't forget to rate and review our episodes if you're listening to them on iTunes. We are also on Spotify.
On iTunes or on iTunes?
On iTunes. Now, how'd I become Australian all of a sudden?
Chim-chim-a-nee,
That's it, guys. Thanks. Take it. Have a good
Just
one, nerds.
keep running, just keep
Bye,
running.
guys.
Bye.
Pineapple, I have to sneeze.
Pika.
At least I don't have hiccups anymore.
Almost.
What?
Oh, he had the hiccups.
Kiwi, I think I'm fine.
I had the
Okay.
hiccups for like 20 minutes.
Look at the light. Name as many fruits as you can.
No, kiwi is the opposite of a pineapple, I guess. Pineapples are big and spiky. Kiwis are small and fuzzy.
God damn it.
All right, you guys let me know when you're ready.
All right,
to
back
jump
in. All right,
in.
back
Kiwi!
Back in.